Have you ever looked at someone who seems to have it all and wondered, how do they do it? Maybe you've seen people who always land great jobs, live in beautiful homes, or never seem to worry about money. It's like they have a magic touch, right? Well, what if I told you that there's a method that could help you do the same? Today, we're diving into something truly special, a powerful technique that could change your life forever. It's called the imagination technique, and it comes from a man named Neville Goddard. Now, this isn't your typical think positive advice. It's much deeper and more powerful than that. Imagine being able to create the life you want just by using your mind in a specific way. Sounds too good to be true? Well, that's exactly what Neville Goddard taught, and countless people have used his methods to transform their lives. This technique isn't about wishing on stars or crossing your fingers. It's a practical, step-by-step approach to using your imagination to shape your reality. And the best part? Anyone can do it. You don't need special skills or lots of money to get started. All you need is your mind and the willingness to try something new. But here's the thing. This technique isn't just about daydreaming or fantasizing. It's about learning to use your imagination in a very specific and powerful way. Neville Goddard discovered that our imagination is like a tool, and when we use it correctly, it can literally reshape our world. Think about it like this. Everything you see around you, buildings, cars, phones, all of these things started as an idea in someone's mind before they became real. What if you could do the same thing with your life? What if you could imagine wealth, success, and happiness so vividly that they start showing up in your real life? Now you might be thinking, okay, this sounds interesting, but why should I bother learning it? Well, let me put it this way. If you don't learn to use this imagination technique, you might find yourself stuck in the same financial situation year after year. You know that feeling when you're working hard, but it seems like you're just treading water financially? That's what can happen when we don't know how to properly use our imagination to create change. But here's the exciting part. If you master this technique, you could start seeing amazing changes in your life. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that money worries are a thing of the past. Picture yourself living in the home you've always dreamed of, doing work that you love, and feeling truly abundant. That's the kind of transformation that's possible when you learn to use your imagination the way Neville Goddard taught. Now, I won't lie to you. Mastering this technique takes practice. It's not always easy, especially at first. You might feel silly or doubtful when you start. That's normal. But think about it this way. Learning to use your imagination effectively is like learning any other skill. At first, it might feel awkward or challenging, but with practice, it becomes natural and powerful. And the rewards? They can be life-changing. Imagine never having to worry about bills again. Think about how it would feel to be able to help your family and friends financially, to travel wherever you want, or to pursue your passions without money holding you back. That's the kind of freedom that mastering this technique can bring. And it all starts with learning to use your imagination in a new and powerful way. Now you might be wondering, who is this Neville Goddard guy, and why should I listen to him? That's a great question, and it's important to understand the source of this powerful technique. Neville Goddard wasn't some guru trying to sell get-rich-quick schemes. He was a spiritual teacher and author who lived from 1905 to 1972. Born in Barbados, Goddard moved to the United States as a young man and began studying various spiritual and mystical traditions. What made Goddard special was his ability to take complex spiritual ideas and make them practical and usable for everyday people. He wasn't interested in fancy rituals or complicated theories. Instead, he focused on one simple but powerful idea: that our imagination is the key to creating our reality. Goddard believed that the world we see around us is a reflection of our inner thoughts and beliefs, and that by changing our inner world, we can change our outer circumstances. Goddard spent decades teaching this idea through lectures and books. He wasn't just talking about positive thinking or wishful dreaming. His teachings were based on a deep understanding of how the human mind works and how it connects to the world around us. He taught people how to use their imagination in a very specific way to create real changes in their lives. So why are we talking about Neville Goddard when it comes to creating wealth? Well, Goddard's teachings aren't just about spiritual growth. They have very practical applications, especially when it comes to money and success. You see, Goddard believed that the same principles that govern the spiritual world also govern the material world, including our financial lives. Think about it this way. How many times have you heard someone say, "I'll never be rich," or "money is hard to come by"? Goddard would say that these kinds of thoughts and beliefs actually create our financial reality. By learning to use our imagination the way Goddard taught, we can start to change these beliefs and, as a result, change our financial situations. Goddard's techniques are particularly powerful for wealth creation because they address the root cause of financial struggles, our mindset. Instead of just giving tips on saving money or investing, Goddard's teachings help us reshape our entire relationship with wealth. He taught that by vividly imagining ourselves as already wealthy and truly feeling that wealth, we could attract abundance into our lives. But here's the key. Goddard's approach isn't about greed or materialism. It's about understanding that abundance is our natural state, and that by aligning our thoughts and imagination with that abundance, we allow it to flow into our lives. This isn't just about getting rich. It's about creating a life of true prosperity, where we have enough to live comfortably and to help others. Goddard's teachings also matter for wealth creation because they empower us. Instead of feeling like victims of circumstance or the economy, we learn that we have the power to shape our financial reality. This shift in perspective alone can be revolutionary. When we stop blaming external factors for our financial situation and start taking responsibility for our inner world, amazing things can happen. Moreover, Goddard's techniques are accessible to everyone. You don't need a special education, a lot of money, or any particular skills to start using his methods. All you need is your mind and the willingness to practice. This makes his teachings incredibly democratic. Anyone, regardless of their background or current circumstances, can apply these principles and potentially change their financial life. Another reason why Goddard's teachings are so relevant for wealth creation is that they address a fundamental truth. Wealth is more than just money in the bank. True wealth includes peace of mind, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. Goddard's techniques don't just aim to increase your bank balance. They're designed to help you create a rich, fulfilling life in every sense of the word. Goddard also emphasized the importance of detachment from outcomes. This might sound counterintuitive when we're talking about creating wealth, but it's actually a crucial point. He taught that by becoming too fixated on when and how our desires will manifest, we create resistance and delay the manifestation. Instead, he advocated for a state of calm certainty, imagining and feeling our desire as already fulfilled, and then going about our day with confidence that it is on its way. This approach can be incredibly freeing when it comes to wealth creation. Instead of constantly worrying about money or obsessing over every financial decision, we learn to trust in the process. This doesn't mean we become passive or irresponsible with our finances. Rather, it means we take inspired action from a place of confidence and abundance rather than fear and lack. Goddard's teachings also provide a refreshing perspective on the nature of wealth itself. He taught that the universe is abundant and that there's more than enough for everyone. This stands in stark contrast to the scarcity mindset that many of us have been conditioned to believe. By adopting this abundance mindset, we open ourselves up to opportunities and possibilities that we might have otherwise overlooked. Furthermore, Goddard's approach to wealth creation is holistic. It's not just about making money, it's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts wealth. This involves changing our self-concept, our beliefs about what's possible, and even our day-to-day habits and behaviors. As we apply Goddard's techniques, we may find ourselves becoming more confident, more open to opportunities, and more aligned with our true purpose, all of which can contribute to greater financial success. It's also worth noting that Goddard's teachings can help us maintain wealth once we've created it. Many people who suddenly come into money find themselves losing it just as quickly because they haven't changed their inner beliefs about wealth. By using Goddard's techniques to cultivate a wealthy mindset, we're more likely to hold on to and grow our wealth over time. Lastly, Goddard's teachings matter for wealth creation because they remind us of a fundamental truth. We are creators. We're not at the mercy of external circumstances or limited by our past. At every moment, we have the power to imagine a new future and through that imagination to bring that future into reality. This realization can be incredibly empowering when it comes to our financial lives. In essence, Neville Goddard's teachings provide us with a roadmap for not just creating wealth, but for creating a life of true abundance. They remind us that we have the power to shape our reality, that abundance is our natural state, and that by aligning our inner world with the wealth we desire, we can create remarkable changes in our outer world. As we dive deeper into Goddard's techniques in the rest of this video, keep in mind that you're not just learning about making money. You're learning about unlocking your power as a creator of your own reality. The core of Goddard's manifestation technique. At the heart of Neville Goddard's teachings is a simple yet profound idea. Your imagination creates your reality. This might sound like something out of a fantasy story, but Goddard wasn't talking about magic. He was talking about a very real process that happens in our minds and then unfolds in our lives. Let's break this down in a way that's easy to understand. Goddard taught that everything we see in the world around us, all our experiences, our circumstances, even our financial situation, is a reflection of our inner world. It's like our mind is a projector and the world is the screen. Whatever we consistently imagine and believe inside eventually shows up outside in our real life. Now, this is different from just positive thinking or wishing for things. Goddard's technique is much more specific and powerful. He taught that we need to use our imagination in a very particular way. Instead of just thinking about what we want, we need to imagine that we already have it. And not just imagine it, but feel it as real. For example, if you want to create wealth, Goddard would say, don't just think about having money. Instead, imagine what your life would be like if you were already wealthy. How would you feel? What would your day look like? What kind of house would you live in? He taught that by vividly imagining these scenes, and most importantly, feeling the emotions of already having what you want, you start to change your inner world. And when your inner world changes, your outer world has to follow suit. This might sound a bit strange at first. You might be thinking, how can just imagining something make it real? But think about it this way. Everything in our world, from the chair you're sitting on to the device you're using to watch this video, started as an idea in someone's imagination before it became real. Goddard's technique is about applying this same principle to our own lives. What makes Goddard's approach different from other manifestation methods is its focus on the present moment. Many other techniques ask you to visualize getting what you want in the future. But Goddard said, this keeps your desire always in the future, always out of reach. Instead, he taught to imagine having what you want right now in this moment. It's a subtle but powerful shift. Another key part of Goddard's technique is the idea of living from the end. This means behaving and thinking as if your desire has already come true. If you want to be wealthy, you would start thinking and acting like a wealthy person now, not waiting until the money shows up in your bank account. This isn't about pretending or lying to yourself. It's about aligning your inner state with what you want to create. Goddard also emphasized the importance of relaxation in this process. He taught that the best time to use this technique is right before sleep or in a deeply relaxed state. Why? Because in these moments, our conscious mind is quiet and we can more easily impress new ideas on our subconscious mind. And it's our subconscious mind, Goddard believed, that really shapes our reality. One of the beautiful things about Goddard's technique is that it doesn't require any special tools or expensive courses. All you need is your own mind and the willingness to practice. It's a technique that's available to everyone, regardless of their background or current circumstances. This makes it a particularly powerful tool for creating wealth, because you don't need money to start using it. Now, it's important to understand that Goddard's technique isn't about sitting around daydreaming all day. It's about changing your inner state in a way that naturally leads to different actions and choices in your daily life. When you truly feel wealthy inside, you start to notice opportunities you might have missed before. You make decisions from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. And these changes in your behavior can lead to real changes in your financial situation. Goddard's manifestation technique also differs from many others in its emphasis on feeling. He taught that it's not enough to just visualize what you want. You need to feel it as real. This means engaging all your senses in your imagination. If you're imagining being wealthy, don't just see it. Feel the emotions, hear the sounds, smell the smells that go along with that wealth. The more real you can make it in your mind, the more powerful the technique becomes. Another unique aspect of Goddard's approach is its focus on the present moment. Many manifestation techniques ask you to visualize getting what you want in the future, but Goddard taught that this keeps your desire always in the future, always out of reach. Instead, he advocated imagining and feeling that you have what you want right now, in this moment. It's a subtle but powerful shift that can make a big difference in how quickly your desires manifest. Goddard also emphasized the importance of persistence. He understood that changing deep-seated beliefs and patterns takes time, so he encouraged his students to practice their imaginal scenes regularly, especially when faced with contradictory evidence in the physical world. This persistence, he taught, is what bridges the gap between our current reality and our desired state. One more crucial element of Goddard's technique is the idea of detachment. This might sound contradictory. How can you vividly imagine and feel something, yet be detached from it? But what Goddard meant was to avoid obsessing over when or how your desire will manifest. Once you've done your imaginal work, he taught to trust that it's done and go about your day with confidence. This state of calm certainty, he believed, actually speeds up the manifestation process. Now that we understand the core of Goddard's technique, let's dive deeper into the first key: the power of imagination. Goddard believed that our imagination is our most important tool for creating the life we want. He often said, "Imagination creates reality." But what did he mean by this, and how can we use our imagination to create wealth? First, it's important to understand what Goddard meant by imagination. He wasn't talking about idle daydreaming or fantasizing. Instead, he was referring to the human ability to create vivid sensory experiences in our minds. This kind of imagination engages all our senses and feels very real to us. It's the difference between vaguely thinking about being rich and actually experiencing the sights, sounds, and feelings of wealth in your mind. Goddard taught that this kind of vivid imagination has a direct impact on our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind, he believed, is what really shapes our reality. It's like the autopilot of our lives, guiding our actions, reactions, and even the opportunities we notice or miss. By using our imagination to create vivid, positive experiences, we're essentially reprogramming this autopilot. So how do we use our imagination effectively to create wealth? Goddard recommended creating what he called imaginal scenes. These are short, vivid mental movies where you see yourself already having the wealth you desire. For example, you might imagine yourself looking at a bank statement with a large balance, or walking through a beautiful home that you own, or confidently making a big purchase without worrying about the cost. The key to making these imaginal scenes powerful is to make them as real as possible in your mind. Don't just see the scene, feel it. Engage all your senses. If you're imagining looking at a bank statement, feel the paper in your hands. See the numbers clearly. Feel the emotions of joy and security that come with having that much money. The more real you can make it feel, the more impact it will have on your subconscious mind. Goddard also emphasized the importance of feeling the emotion of your desire fulfilled. It's not enough to just visualize wealth. You need to feel wealthy. Feel the relief of not worrying about bills. Feel the joy of being able to help others financially. Feel the confidence that comes with financial security. These feelings are what really impress the idea of wealth on your subconscious mind. Another important aspect of using your imagination effectively is consistency. Goddard recommended practicing your imaginal scenes regularly, especially right before sleep. This is because the moments before sleep are when our conscious mind is relaxed and our subconscious is more receptive to new ideas. By falling asleep with the feeling of wealth, you allow that feeling to sink deep into your subconscious overnight. Now, you might be thinking, but what if I can't visualize clearly? Don't worry, Goddard had an answer for that too. He said that even if you can't see clear pictures in your mind, you can still feel the emotion of your desire fulfilled. So if you struggle with visualization, focus on the feeling of being wealthy. How would it feel to be financially free? Focus on that feeling as you fall asleep. It's also important to understand that using your imagination this way isn't about escaping reality. It's about creating a new reality. Goddard taught that what we imagine with feeling eventually becomes our reality. So by imagining wealth vividly and consistently, we're not avoiding our current financial situation, we're actively working to change it. One powerful way to use your imagination for wealth creation is to imagine scenes that imply your financial success. For example, instead of just imagining a pile of money, imagine yourself confidently paying off all your debts, or generously donating to a cause you care about, or starting a business you've always dreamed of. These scenes imply wealth and also connect your desire for money with positive actions and emotions. Goddard also taught the importance of first-person perspective in your imaginal scenes. Don't watch yourself being wealthy like a movie. Instead, see through your own eyes, as if you're actually there in the scene. This makes the experience more real to your subconscious mind and therefore more powerful. Another tip for using your imagination effectively is to keep your imaginal scenes simple and short. Don't try to imagine your entire life as a wealthy person. Instead, focus on one short, vivid scene that implies your wealth. Maybe it's the moment you see your new bank balance or the moment you hand over the keys to your dream home. By keeping it simple, you can repeat the scene easily and make it very vivid. Goddard also emphasized the importance of feeling natural in your imaginal scenes. If being wealthy feels strange or unbelievable to you, your subconscious won't accept it. So work on imagining scenes where being wealthy feels completely normal and natural to you. This might take some practice, but it's a crucial part of the process. Remember, the goal of using your imagination this way is to change your inner state. Goddard taught that when we change our inner state, our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, our outer world has to change to match it. So by consistently imagining and feeling wealth, we're creating a new inner state that will eventually manifest as real wealth in our lives. Lastly, it's important to approach this practice with a sense of play and enjoyment. Don't turn it into a chore or a source of stress. Enjoy the process of imagining your ideal life. Let it be fun and exciting. The more you enjoy it, the more you'll want to do it, and the more effective it will be. Now we come to the second key in Goddard's technique, which he considered so important that he wrote an entire book about it called Feeling is the Secret. This principle is crucial for turning your imaginal scenes into reality, especially when it comes to creating wealth. When Goddard talked about feeling, he wasn't just referring to emotions. He meant a deep, inner knowing or conviction. It's the difference between thinking, "I want to be wealthy," and knowing deep down that you are wealthy. This feeling of the wish fulfilled, as Goddard called it, is what really brings your desires into reality. So why is feeling so important? Goddard believed that our feelings are the language of our subconscious mind. While our conscious mind understands words and logic, our subconscious responds to feelings and emotions. And since it's our subconscious that really shapes our reality, speaking its language is crucial for creating change. When it comes to creating wealth, this means it's not enough to just think about being rich or to logically understand that having more money would be nice. You need to feel wealthy. You need to capture the feeling of financial abundance, security, and freedom. This feeling is what tells your subconscious mind that wealth is your reality. But how do we generate these feelings, especially if our current financial situation is far from what we desire? Goddard taught several techniques for this. One is to use your memory. Think of a time when you felt financially secure, even if it was just having enough money for a small purchase. Recall that feeling vividly. Then, in your imagination, amplify that feeling. Make it stronger and associate it with your desire for greater wealth. Another technique is to imagine how you would feel if you woke up tomorrow and all your financial worries were solved. Really let yourself feel that relief, that joy, that sense of freedom. The more vividly you can feel it, the more real it becomes to your subconscious mind. Goddard also emphasized the importance of maintaining these positive feelings throughout your day, not just during your imaginal sessions. He taught that your dominant feeling throughout the day is what shapes your life. So even if your current circumstances don't reflect wealth, practice feeling wealthy as you go about your day. This doesn't mean denying your current reality or being irresponsible with your finances. It means cultivating an inner state of abundance, regardless of external circumstances. It's about feeling grateful for what you have now, while also feeling the abundance of what you're creating. One practical way to apply this is to notice how you feel when you think about money or when you deal with financial matters. Do you feel anxiety, scarcity? Try to shift those feelings to ones of confidence, abundance, and security. It might feel strange at first, but with practice, it becomes more natural. Goddard also taught that our physical body responds to our feelings. So as you cultivate feelings of wealth, pay attention to your posture, your breathing, your facial expressions. Allow your body to express the confidence and ease that comes with financial abundance. This physical expression reinforces the feeling, making it more real to your subconscious. Another important aspect of feeling is persistence. Goddard understood that we often have deeply ingrained feelings of lack or financial stress. These don't change overnight. It takes consistent practice to replace these old feelings with new ones of abundance and wealth. So be patient with yourself and persistent in your practice. It's also crucial to understand that feeling wealthy doesn't mean feeling greedy or materialistic. True wealth, as Goddard taught it, includes a sense of abundance, security, and the ability to help others. So as you cultivate the feeling of wealth, include feelings of generosity and the joy of being able to make a positive difference in the world. Goddard also emphasized the importance of feeling your desire as already fulfilled, not as something that will happen in the future. This is a subtle but crucial point. Instead of feeling I will be wealthy, feel I am wealthy. This present tense feeling is what impresses your subconscious mind and begins to create change in your life. Remember, the goal is not to ignore your current financial situation or to pretend that challenges don't exist. It's about creating a new inner state that will naturally lead to different choices, actions, and opportunities in your life. By consistently feeling wealthy on the inside, you begin to align yourself with wealth on the outside. Lastly, Goddard taught that our feelings are creative, not just for ourselves, but for others too. As you cultivate feelings of wealth and abundance, you may find that you naturally become more generous, more willing to see and create opportunities for others. This ripple effect can create positive change, not just in your life, but in the lives of those around you. Now, we come to one of the most powerful aspects of Goddard's teachings, the concept of living from the end. This idea is crucial for manifesting wealth and can truly transform your approach to creating abundance in your life. When Goddard talked about living from the end, he meant behaving, thinking, and feeling as if your desire has already been fulfilled. In the context of wealth creation, this means living as if you are already wealthy right now, regardless of your current bank balance or financial situation. This might sound challenging or even impossible at first. After all, how can you live as if you're wealthy when you have bills to pay and financial stress to deal with? But that's exactly the point. Goddard taught that by adopting the state of the wish fulfilled, we create the inner conditions necessary for our desire to manifest in the physical world. So what does living from the end look like when it comes to wealth? It's about adopting the mindset, emotions, and even the body language of a wealthy person. It's about making decisions from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. It's about feeling the peace and security that comes with financial freedom, even before it's visible in your bank account. For example, when you're shopping, instead of constantly worrying about prices, you might allow yourself to feel the ease and comfort of knowing you can afford what you need and want. When you're paying bills, instead of feeling stress or resentment, you might feel gratitude for the services you're receiving and the ability to pay for them. Living from the end also means aligning your thoughts and conversations with your desire. Instead of constantly talking about financial struggles or limitations, you might start speaking about abundance and opportunities. This doesn't mean ignoring real financial responsibilities, but rather approaching them from a place of confidence and abundance rather than fear and lack. Another important aspect of living from the end is making decisions as if you were already wealthy. This doesn't mean being reckless with your current resources. Instead, it means considering opportunities and making choices from the perspective of someone who has abundant resources. You might find yourself more open to investment opportunities, more willing to invest in yourself and your education, or more inclined to start that business you've been dreaming about. Goddard emphasized that living from the end isn't about pretending or lying to yourself. It's about aligning your inner state with your desire. It's about feeling the reality of your wish fulfilled so completely that it begins to manifest in your outer world. One practical way to live from the end is to ask yourself throughout the day, how would I think / feel / act in this situation if I were already wealthy? Then, to the best of your ability, embody that state. This might feel uncomfortable or even silly at first, but with practice, it becomes more natural and powerful. Remember, the goal of living from the end is to create a new self-concept. Goddard believed that our outer world is a reflection of our inner self-concept. By consistently living as if you are already wealthy, you're creating a new self-concept of abundance and prosperity. And as this new self-concept takes root, your outer world begins to change to match it. It's also important to understand that living from the end doesn't mean ignoring your current reality or being irresponsible. It's about holding two realities in your mind, acknowledging your current circumstances while also firmly holding the feeling and belief in your desired state. This balance allows you to take inspired action from a place of abundance rather than reacting from a place of lack. The final key in Goddard's manifestation technique is the combination of persistence and faith. These two elements are what bridge the gap between your inner work and your outer reality, especially when it comes to creating wealth. Persistence, in Goddard's teachings, means consistently returning to your imaginal scenes and the feeling of your wish fulfilled, even when your outer world shows no signs of change. This can be particularly challenging when it comes to financial matters. You might be doing all the inner work, imagining wealth, feeling abundant, living from the end, but your bank account still shows the same balance. This is where persistence comes in. Goddard taught that our outer world often lags behind our inner changes. It takes time for our new thoughts, feelings, and self-concept to manifest in our physical reality. During this time, it's crucial to persist in your practice, to keep returning to your imaginal scenes, to keep feeling wealthy despite external evidence to the contrary. Faith goes hand in hand with persistence. In this context, faith doesn't mean blind belief. It means a deep, unshakable knowing that what you've imagined must come to pass. Goddard often quoted the biblical phrase, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." He taught that your faith, your absolute conviction in the reality of your imagined state, is the true substance of your manifestation. When it comes to manifesting wealth, this faith is crucial. It's easy to believe in abundance when things are going well financially. The real test of faith comes when you're faced with bills, debts, or financial setbacks. Can you still hold on to the feeling of wealth and abundance in those moments? That's the kind of faith that Goddard taught is necessary for manifestation. Persistence and faith work together. Your persistence in returning to your imaginal scenes and feelings of wealth strengthens your faith. And your faith gives you the strength to persist, even when your outer world hasn't yet caught up with your inner changes. One practical way to cultivate persistence and faith is to keep a manifestation journal. Each day, write down your imaginal scenes, the feelings of wealth you experienced, and any signs of abundance you noticed in your life, no matter how small. This practice helps you stay focused on your goal and builds your faith by showing you the subtle ways your reality is changing. Another important aspect of persistence is patience. Goddard taught that we don't know the how or when of our manifestations. Our job is simply to persist in the state of the wish fulfilled, to keep feeling and living as if we are already wealthy. The bridge of incidents that leads to the manifestation of our desire is not our concern. Our task is to stay faithful to our imagined reality. Faith also involves letting go of the old man, as Goddard called it, your old self-concept and beliefs about money and wealth. This can be challenging, especially if you've had a long history of financial struggles. But remember, your past does not determine your future. Your imagination and your persistent faith in your new state are what shape your reality. It's also important to understand that persistence doesn't mean obsession. Goddard taught that once you've done your imaginal work, you should drop it and go about your day with the calm assurance that it is done. This state of relaxed faith is actually more powerful than constantly worrying about or focusing on your desire. Lastly, both persistence and faith require practice. They are skills that you develop over time. Don't be discouraged if you find it difficult at first to maintain your faith in the face of contrary evidence, or if you struggle to persist in your practice. Like any skill, these abilities grow stronger with consistent use. As we wrap up our exploration of Neville Goddard's powerful manifestation technique for creating wealth, let's take a moment to recap the key points we've covered. We started by understanding the core of Goddard's teaching, that our imagination creates our reality. We learned that by vividly imagining and feeling our desired state, we can impress our subconscious mind and begin to reshape our outer world. We then delved into the 4 key principles of Goddard's technique. First, we explored the power of imagination, learning how to create vivid, sensory-rich scenes of wealth in our minds. We discovered that these imaginal acts are not mere daydreams, but powerful tools for transformation. Next, we uncovered the secret of feeling, understanding that it's not enough to just visualize wealth, we must feel it as real. We learned techniques for generating and maintaining the feeling of abundance, even in the face of contrary circumstances. We then explored the concept of living from the end, discovering how to think, feel, and act as if we are already wealthy. We saw that this isn't about pretending, but about aligning our inner state with our desired reality. Finally, we discussed the crucial roles of persistence and faith. We learned that consistent practice and unwavering belief are what bridge the gap between our inner work and our outer reality. Throughout this journey, we've seen that Goddard's technique isn't just about making money. It's about transforming our entire relationship with wealth and abundance. It's about creating a new self-concept, one of prosperity and unlimited potential. Remember, this technique is a skill that improves with practice. Don't be discouraged if you don't see immediate results. Keep persisting in your practice, maintain your faith, and trust in the process. Your outer world will inevitably align with your inner state. As you go forward from here, I encourage you to apply these principles in your life. Start creating your vivid, imaginal scenes of wealth. Practice feeling the emotions of financial abundance. Begin living from the end, making choices, and taking actions from a place of prosperity. And above all, persist in your practice and maintain your faith. Your journey to wealth and abundance starts within you, in the limitless realm of your imagination. With Goddard's technique, you have a powerful tool to reshape your financial reality. Use it wisely, use it consistently, and watch as your world transforms to reflect the abundance you've always known was possible. Remember, in Goddard's words, imagination creates reality. Your financial future is limited only by what you can imagine and believe. So dream big, feel deeply, and persist faithfully. Your abundant future awaits.